NATO foreign ministers are set to hold an emergency meeting in Brussels over Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The allies have been bolstering their eastern flank since Russia began deploying its troops near Ukraine weeks before the invasion. NATO has for the first time activated its rapid response force to add to thousands of troops already sent by allies to its eastern members. Though NATO has been sending weapons to Ukraine, as many as 22,000 more troops are being sent to member states bordering Russia and Belarus. The allies, however, remain adamant that they will not get involved militarily in the war in Ukraine.
Our line is clear. We will not intervene militarily. That applies to NATO. It won't do that, and for all others. In this situation, that would be wrong.
Germany is increasing its weapons deliveries to Ukraine. Sources say Berlin has approved additional support for Ukraine and will send 2,700 anti-aircraft missiles to the conflict zone. The Dutch are sending rocket launchers for air defense. The Estonians, Poles and Latvians are sending missiles. Czech Republic is sending machine guns, snipers and other ammunition. Even formerly neutral countries like Sweden and Finland are sending weapons. In all, about 20 countries, most members of NATO and the EU, are funneling arms into Ukraine. Western weaponry is being delivered to Ukraine in relatively large but undisclosed amounts for the last several days. If it can be deployed quickly, it could have an impact. But Brussels' strategy of sending more ammunition and troops could risk encouraging a possible retaliation by Russia. Putin already sees NATO as committed to threaten or even destroy Russia through its support for Ukraine. Putin even raised the nuclear alert of his own forces to warn Europe and United States of the risk of intervention. Leaders from the United States, India, Australia and Japan met virtually for an emergency session of the Quad grouping. At the meeting, which was held amid the raging war in Ukraine, the four leaders agreed that similar events should not be allowed to happen in the Indo-Pacific. US has been trying to get India on board in the global condemnation of Russia, but India has chosen to abstain from every vote against Russia at the United Nations. This is while the US, Japan and Australia have been calling for a tough line on Moscow. India has repeatedly urged Russia and Ukraine to cease hostilities. The Indian Prime Minister also rejected the use of Quad for the purpose. Hence, the talks between the Quad leaders, which were held to present a united front on the Ukraine crisis, concluded without any condemnation of Moscow's military assault. A White House statement said that the leaders discussed the ongoing conflict and humanitarian crisis in Ukraine and assessed its broader implications. The four leaders reaffirmed their dedication to the Quad to promote regional stability and prosperity. A separate readout from the Indian Foreign Ministry said the Prime Minister emphasized the need to return to a path of dialogue and diplomacy. He also underlined that the Quad must remain focused on its core objective of promoting peace, stability and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific region. The meeting was held at a time of increased concerns about Taiwan. The self-ruled island has stepped up its alert levels since Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It's wary of Beijing taking advantage of a distracted West to move against it. Referring to Russia's invasion, Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said that unilateral changes to the status quo with force should not be allowed in the Indo-Pacific region, a statement that could be interpreted as a new warning to China over its regional ambitions. The Quad was first launched in 2007 but only took root a decade later after China aggressively projected its military power into the South China Sea. The Quad leaders agreed to meet in person in Tokyo in the coming months. The office of Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said in a tweet that the meeting would be held this spring. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.